Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Добро пожаловать на мой подкаст.
Can you
С
tell?
вами Billy Ina.
Can you tell Bill is studying a new language?
I watch Russian with Max. He has a podcast. And I watch the Russian podcast.
Yeah, Bill started to study Russian before the war, 2 years before. So and I told him that you should also learn Ukrainian.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're working on seeds, it's like the Panchen Lama, like he restored that Mongol statue, or who was it that you remember the story?
Not statue. He restored the tomb
The
of
tomb.
The tomb
Yeah.
of the third Dalai Lama. And the third Dalai Lama was the first one who was named Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Because Dalai is Mongolian for the highest.
Yeah.
So the highest in Mongolian is Dalai, the highest in Tibetan is Lama. You have Dalai Lama. And he was, this third Dalai Lama was a friend of Mongols. So he decided to stop the war by planting seeds, respecting somebody who was a friend of Mongols.
Yeah. And so when I study Russian, I think about, so we're having a conflict with a different culture, right? But to respect their culture and, hopefully they'll respect Nasha.
Yeah. And also, this is my native language.
But you speak it at home too. Yeah, to be fair, that also.
Secretly, he just does not want us to say something bad.
I said, boy, I've gotta, if they're talking about me at the dinner table, I've got to know.
We secretly decided to
So now they
switch.
speak French.
Okay. So, class 9. Close your eyes, sit up straight, and think about your motivation for this class. And Tibetans, they do special prayers. I prefer for this level just motivation. Think about your problems. And then make a wish to stop these problems by listening to this class. And not only that, make a wish that this action would be big enough to help you to stop everybody else's problems. And maybe at some point you will see this planet as very peaceful, totally beautiful, safe place. And imagine that you offer this place in the future that you will create to your teacher, whoever they are. Go back to your breathing and let's do class 9. We are almost at the end of course 3.
Yeah.
Very fast.
It's a big deal.
Mm.
One thing I want to say quickly about teachers is for
Slow down.
yeah, I was tired this morning. The translators were probably grateful for it.
Yeah, I have seen they're happy.
For many people, the person you live with will probably end up being like your main teacher. It's interesting how that can happen. Longer story. So what else? Anyway, it's enough.
Okay. Okay. So the first part of Lam Rim that we are studying, we continue with the object of meditation, right? We were talking about Lam Rim that has different parts, about teachers a lot. because your teacher can be an object of your meditation. Even you didn't meet one yet, you can just imagine. And we probably should record a golden room meditation for people who want to get a practice like from us, right?
Yeah, that was your, I wasn't around when Geshe introduced that one. I was in retreat, but
Yeah.
if you want to go through it. And, you know, one thing I do want to say, that I know some of these ideas are new for Europeans, Westerners, Americans. It's one of the reasons why, of the characteristics needed for a good student, one of the keys is flexibility, right? You have to be willing to consider something new. You have to be willing to change your mind, which that's a pretty rare trait.
Mhm.
And if you are, though, over time, these ideas, you'll get comfortable with them, particularly the further on you go, the more it will make sense. Like, oh, okay, that's why they said that. That's why that's there. It's not, there's nothing wasted here. There's nothing frivolous. You know, they're not just, there's a specific reason for everything they're doing. So flexibility is helpful.
Mhm. Okay, so
You'll end up being very comfortable with it over time.
so let's move on with the Lamrim, because you will be introduced with several new objects to meditate on. Potentially, you will have to pick one to start with, right? And it can be, as I said, the golden room, when you imagine your Lama meditating in front of you, your teacher or your spiritual guide, somebody who can teach you how to make this evolution jump in your life, right? To become somebody who can stop not only your suffering, not only your problems, but also other people. And second is you can meditate on some parts of Lamrim, and we are going now through these parts, and they're very cool. So they do not feel like cool when you first read it, but they have a very profound meaning. Okay, let's just go ahead. So once you practiced, once you can we have slides, please? So we are studying how to take a teacher, or how to meet your spiritual coach, spiritual guide. And then the second part is how to practice once you met your teacher. And this part also has two sub parts. One is you need to understand how to get meaning of this life, how to get the most meaning of this life. And the Tibetan is very interesting, because it's Ninpo Lenpar Kulva, and Ninpor is in Tibetan the essence, or also it means the heart, like how to get what is the main in this life, the heart of this life, the most important, right? And second is sorry, the first one is to urge you to get it, and second one is Jetsun Kappa is teaching you how to get it. These are the two parts. Ninpot Lenpetsu. So what are these? What are we talking about when we say about the essence of this life, Ninpo, right? You want to do this one? No?
Sure, we can talk about it, but it's thinking about you mean the second part of that one? Oh, learning how to get the most out of this life, or you talking about...
Yeah, we did it.
So then you're talking about so we're going on to the 5 of the 8 leisures.
Mhm.
My mind wandered a bit. I was thinking that if I draw a line in the sand and say that my teacher can't have 20 Lamborghinis, I'm gonna I'm gonna find out that he does tomorrow. No, that's a joke.
That's a joke, but the higher you go, maybe it will not be a joke.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you keep getting pushed a little farther than what you expected to, right?
If you have a real lama,
If you have a real teacher, yeah.
maybe he will push you hard.
What?
Okay. So
So
basically, we come now to the point when how you motivate yourself, right? Right? How this first part, urge yourself to get the essence of the life, this
yeah,
life, and this is when this next subjects comes from, right?
so the 8 leisures, right? We've talked about the different realms that people can live in. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. In the desire realm, you going down, you have humans, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell beings. And so you have the good fortune to not have been born as a hell being, as a hungry ghost, or an animal.
They also call it freedoms. Like you are free, you can be happy that you didn't have this 8.
Yeah, particularly, I mean, you could see living out in the desert, it was really interesting. Like if you're quiet, and boy, particularly if you had food, if you're quiet and you have food, the animals will be friends with you, right? People made friends with the animals. And you know, they have personalities and but they're scared of being eaten, right? They're constantly worried about, we don't really have, I mean, we live in a major city, but we're not really, there's no real danger in our life. The animals were constantly afraid of being eaten. There was a big a big raven, big huge bird. Its wings were, you know, like 2 meters, huge, and you know, almost 2 meters. It was huge, maybe a meter and a half. Anyway, enormous bird. I would feed it little dessert cakes called Twinkies in America, and he would come and eat Twinkies. But it took a long time to get him to come. We'd see him flying around, and you know, well, he was very wary of being attacked. Yeah, he was scared. And we don't have that, right? Like you can sit down and I'm not worried about getting eaten by anybody tonight. And so then even
Unless it will be me.
yeah. And even and so then hungry ghosts, they're constantly tormented by hunger, a craving for something. They can never relax. And hell beings are just in constant pain. And so we don't have that situation. We're free from those sufferings.
Mhm.
And then on the other side, it's interesting that we're also free from having too much pleasure, right? We've talked about it, that beings in the form realm and the formless realms, they're so happy, they're not looking for answers, right?
Everything just goes well for them, right?
Yeah, until it doesn't, until they run out of their good mental seeds, and then they lose their body or their lack of body. They lose their position in the formless realm, and they cycle back down, typically to one of the hell realms, because not only have they, you know, they've been so busy enjoying themselves, they haven't created any new good mental seeds, and they haven't been asking questions like, how do I stop this? You know, how do I stop my problems? And so they say that it's quite fortunate to be a human where you have enough problems that you're interested in solving them permanently, but not so many that you can't do anything about it.
Mhm.
So
I would like to mention here meditation on the form and formless realms, right? Because we have mentioned that there are huge, how to say, groups of people, good meditators, great meditators, unfortunately focused on wrong things, and they could use the focus that they developed to see the nature of reality, but
Ultimate nature
the
of reality.
ultimate nature of reality, and instead of it, because they were not taught correctly, they go even to the higher levels of meditation, and the result of it will be that they will be born in this pleasurable realms, but unfortunately it's how to say, it's a dead end, right? Because they will have to go to very miserable realms after that, once their good karma will run out.
Their lives actually get more pleasurable here while they're still in a human body.
Yeah.
But again, dead end.
So you were also not born in a barbarian, uncivilized place, and usually what they mean in these lists is that this is a place when people do not have any morality, or any nobody follows vowed morality, right? Then you were not born with serious wrong worldviews, because otherwise you would not be here studying ACI. If you would have some serious wrong views, like really denying cause and effect relationship, that everything you can do, say, or think, you will get it back.
Well, I think one of the predominant wrong worldviews now is that your mind will stop when your body stops. That's pretty,
Stupid.
well, it's stupid because people don't prepare for that, right? But boy, if you try and talk in academic circles about what happens to your mind after your body stops, it's considered to be just a useless question to even ask in a lot of circles. And well, but there's a lot of ideas. We can go on for that subject for quite a bit. But
And then the seventh one is, you are not born with the body that is incapable of, to be honest, studying and meditating, right? So you have all your sense powers, you can see, to read, you can hear, etc. So this is also very cool.
And you're not suffering from some kind of mental limitation that's keeping you from being able to learn and focus.
Yeah. Then the last one is, we still have these teachings, right? Because they come, went long way from, traveled long way from Buddha Shakyamuni. And when you will study ACI 8, Buddhas do not come when they want. They come when people's minds are ripen, when they are ready. And it happens only at very specific moments of the history. And mainly it's when the human's lifespan goes down, because it can go up and it can go down. And only when it drops from like 80,000 to average of 100, then the Buddhas can come and teach. And this is what's going on right now. We still have the teaching. So we are free from these 8 things that would make your spiritual path impossible.
And many of you are probably watching the Swanson Tower classes. And if you're interested, hopefully you're getting some of the translations that have been published. But when you look at it, as far as the clarity and the accuracy of the teachings, it's really it's really extraordinary. We went through, in the advanced teachings, we went through what the curriculum would have been for the monastics in Tibet in the 20th century, and then compare that to what we got. It's extraordinary. It's really maybe the best trained people in history since the historical Buddha. And it's because of the computers that we have, the ability to search, and Geshe-la's tireless work to be able to put it together, correcting text that have had errors for, hundreds of years, and being able to trace the error and how the error happened and to fix it. It's really the quality and the quantity of the material and the classes that are available for it. It's extraordinary. It's really, we can all be very grateful that that's out there. So.
Okay, so we don't have these 8 bad things that would stop our spiritual growth, development. But we have 10 good ones, right? 10 fortunes. Okay, what are the 10 fortunes? First is we are born as a human being.
Yeah.
Great, because you will have enough suffering in your life to ask yourself questions, and you will have enough happiness to see directly that you can be in a better condition to believe that life can be better, and some neutral between them when you can practice and you can meditate and you can develop all the skills that you need to stop your problems forever. So this is the human, and also there are a bit more in advanced teachings, but the human condition is great. It's like a graduation class, like you can do it within one lifetime if you have good seeds. The second one is we live in a central land, right? That means that we still have people practicing ethics and really following it. We still have full nuns and monks, right, who dedicate themselves to this path also. It plays also role in it. Because how it is measured is there should be dedicated people who vowed to serve these teachings, right, this path, and also there should be a purification ceremony every 2 weeks in place. This is how they measure that this land is central. So, and we have both of them, fortunately. And it was not the case like in 60s when Tibetans started coming in the US. It was not yet the case, right? It was completely a barbarian land.
Yeah, it's odd to think about the United States being considered to be a barbarian land, right? And certainly, if you wanted to measure it in terms of material wealth, clearly the United States was a wealthier country than Tibet. But in terms of the knowledge to solve your problems permanently, that was missing. There was a strong Christian ethic, right, in certain parts of the people. But as far as, anyway, we don't have to keep going on that. It would have been considered.
Yeah, the wealth is not what measure. What is measuring the central centricity of a country.
And this wisdom, I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. This wisdom will help people who are Christian to understand Christianity and to understand why that's a valid set of teachings. So, but for another time.
The third one is we have all the sense organs, I mean, eyes, ears, etc., to study and to practice these teachings.
We've never committed one of the ultimate bad karmas. So there's five things you can do that are considered to be worse than, we've discussed this already in other classes, haven't we?
Never.
We haven't? So there's 5 things you can do that are considered to be worse than anything else. Number 1 would be to intentionally draw blood from the Buddha with evil intent, from the historical Buddha. You can't do that one because he's not here. Number 2 would be to split the Sangha, the original Sangha.
Community of Buddha Shakyamuni followers, which you cannot do it.
Yeah, you can't do that one either. And that one's considered one of the 5 immediate misdeeds, because then you're damaging the community's knowledge of how to get out of suffering. And so splitting that Sangha is considered to be a very, very major crime. And by immediate misdeed, that means that when you die, you immediately go to one of the lowest hell realms, the lowest of the hell realms, right? And like just directly, nothing in between, you're gone. You won't achieve any spiritual realizations in that lifetime. Once you've done it, that's it. These 5 things will send you straight to the lowest hell realm.
Yeah. Splitting Sangha is bad because historically, when it happened actually with the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, there was a guy, actually his cousin, Devadatta, very famous figure, who was present at all his teachings, everything he ever taught, knew everything by heart, didn't understand a dime out of these teachings, was a pretty good monk, and I remember that he created a set of rules. Some of them were very weird, like never eat the cottage cheese, was one of the rules. And
for Ukrainians, that's
for Ukrainians, we will probably
not even without a little sour cream in there. No smetana.
Yeah, we will do it every single day. There were specific conditions, like the Sangha, the community should be already in place. There should be 2 main disciples. There should be people, and then the Buddha Shakyamuni or another Buddha should leave the community for a while. He already had to start teaching, and then this is a good moment to split the Sangha. And he did. He was really jealous of the Buddha Shakyamuni, did all kinds of stupid things. He wanted to kill him. This is how he ended up in the lowest hell, because he actually did both, right? He drew blood because he was throwing stones, and one really hit the Buddha, and some blood came out. And he also split the Sangha. The bad thing about it is that as soon as it happens, the community is split. Then nobody can see emptiness directly, nobody can achieve on the planet any realizations, nobody can get onto next bhumis, bodhisattva levels, nobody can reach the arhat state. So it's a big, big deal. This is considered to be the worst you can ever do, and you cannot do it.
Well, and then the reason why they're talking about it, if you can't do it, is because
you may have seeds.
Well, because if you did something similar, it wouldn't be an immediate misdeed, but it's giving you an idea of the severity of the action, right? So, you wouldn't want to take a valid Sangha group now and split it up. It wouldn't be an immediate misdeed. It's not the historical Buddhas.
But you will suffer a lot.
But you're not going to enjoy the result of that, right?
So then what are 3 leftovers? To kill an arhat?
To kill an arhat, to kill your mother, or to kill your father. And then an arhat is somebody who has had the direct perception of emptiness, and
stopped his mental afflictions.
Yeah, and it stopped his mental afflictions, and then the reason why killing your father and your mother is, or your mother and your father is a big deal, is they've given you life. They've given you this,
This body.
this body that you need to get life. And so you have the potential to save your universe, and your parents gave you that ability. So if you kill them, you've blown it. You've got to go back to hell.
You're kind of non-grateful.
Yeah, and it doesn't make a difference how bad your parents were, how good your parents were. They gave you this life, and you're alive, and that's all that matters for this purposes. For the rest of it, that's a longer discussion. But they're really not concerned about the quality of the parenting that you got. It's the fact that you have a life that they're concerned about, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so these are the ultimate bad karmas, right? Then fifth one, you live in a world where teachings are not respected, and maybe you are getting now.
Well, this is the positive side. You live in the world where the teachings are respected.
Oh, are respected. Yeah, sure. You are not living in the world where teachings are not respected, but then you start to get this flavor that maybe we are close to like losing some of these 10 things, right?
At the moment, we have it.
Yeah.
At the moment, you're free to study.
It's not that you are praised for practicing it, right? You are not being a high-ranked, I don't know, abbot of the monastery in Tibet or ancient India, but you can practice. Nobody will stop you from this.
Yeah, historically, you don't have to look far to find people who've been killed for their religion, right? Or places where religion was forbidden, or
even not a religion, right? This famous debate between Master Kamalashila and Washan, right? They were debating just different points, different objects of meditation, right?
Or saying that the world is round, right? And getting yourself killed. So anyway, we have freedom. You can study these things. We're not worried about the police coming here and breaking this meeting up because what we're discussing is threatening to anybody. We do have the freedoms, and we want to.
These teachings are still kind of respected, right? So we didn't lose this one yet.
Yeah.
The sixth one is we live in the world where a Buddha has come.
Yeah.
There was a historical Buddha Shakyamuni. He walked in the world, left teachings. They are still around. There are still good masters that practice these teachings. They still can give you both oral tradition, right, and empowerment. So
the lineage is alive, valid, intact, whole. He's the fourth historical one, right? It's really interesting. There were 3 more Buddhas before Shakyamuni. And then like 20 years ago or so, I would hear that and I'm like, oh, really? Where are the other 3? Like, what's that? That was really fascinating. And then I don't remember it off the top of my head.
I remember the name of the third one.
Do you?
Kashyapa.
Yeah. So you can now, with Wikipedia, you can go online and look it up and see who the other 3 were. But it's really fascinating, right? It's also interesting that they were here, they taught. And to my knowledge, I don't know where the teachings would be that they taught. So these teachings, even Shakyamuni's teachings, will be lost. They aren't going to last forever. It's constructed, right? So it will fall apart. But we have them now.
Yeah. So number 6 is a Buddha has come, and number 7 is he has taught, right? And number 8, we still live in a world where these teachings still remain. There are people who have realizations such as seeing emptiness directly. And fortunately, this is still the case, right? Number 8, there are still followers of these teachings. And I personally do not like to call it Buddhism because honestly, it's not. For me, it's not. And for me, it is more honest to say, to call it the way how everything works, the path to evolution, to humans' evolution, because it's not exclusively Buddhism, right?
There's still like with what we're studying, clearly there's still a lot of Tibetan culture in it, but everything that they're talking about is universal. It should be completely compatible with science. It should be logical. It should apply to every living human being. It's not just for Tibetans or American hippies, or Russian hippies, or
hipsters they call nowadays.
Old enough, it's hippies. Hipsters. It's not just for cool kids. So it should apply for everybody, right?
Yeah. So, and I received today a message. I probably want to talk about it from one friend of mine who is a very profound Christian follower. Like she is so good with Christianity that almost can quote Bible. She was studying it for 20 years, and today, I was so happy this morning because I received a message from her. She was doing Tonglen, and she had difficult time of doing this meditation. Many people, they have difficult time because in this meditation you take suffering or pain from another person and you kind of destroy it in yourself, right? And she had difficult time to do this practice because she was scared, like many people. My mom was scared to do Tonglen. And
it's a good sign, by the way.
Yeah, because they realize what they're doing.
Yeah. It means that you're having a sincere emotion about it.
Yeah, and then today she sent me a message that she did the Tonglen. She was at the hospital and her friend was there, and she had to wait for a long time because American hospitals. One nurse measures your temperature, another nurse, I don't know, your blood pressure, and it can take many hours. So, and she was sitting for a long time, and she has seen people suffering in this hospital, and she started to do Tonglen for them. And then she realized that this is what Jesus actually did, right? He did Tonglen to every living being, right? Here, and they say in hell realms, right? And he was busy for 3 days doing Tonglen. And she was crying and saying that, and I was like, wow, I'm so happy because this is how it looks like when somebody practices these teachings. I mean, both Jesus and her. Like Jesus, he knew what he was doing and he really did it, right? It was lost a little bit maybe with the time, the teaching that he was given, but the main ideas you still can see, like you cannot treat another person worse than yourself because you will suffer. This is the main idea. And it was very beautiful. So, and the last one is we live in the world where people have compassion to others. I mean, they are still sympathetic to practitioners of spiritual paths, right? And I mean, not everywhere, not the same kind of admiration. Probably definitely not in the United States, that much admiration for you practicing these teachings. But at the very least, it's not prohibited, and it's a big deal. I was born in a country where any religion was prohibited.
Mm. Yeah, it's functioning, right? The monastery we're gonna go to in November, Sarah, it's functioning. They have a, they large group of people and
Yeah, we
it's-
will go with Bill and I will go to India in November to study Tibetan in a monastery.
yeah.
So
So it's there. It doesn't get as well funded as soccer teams, but it's good. But they do, that people you can practice, right?
football teams.
Football teams, that too, soccer.
Okay, and then what else? Okay, now we are getting to the subject of meditation, right? So in this Lamrim, there are actually main three parts, and they are. You don't have to really understand everything right now. Just for your information, there are three main parts, and part one is mainly your practice that is shared with practitioners of lesser capacity, or they also say lesser scope.
Mhm.
So there are three scopes: lesser, medium, and not rare, large.
Great capacity.
Greater capacity. Yeah, so in ACI 1, you can learn more in details what are the three scopes, but briefly, the first one is when you practice to be reborn not less than a human.
Mhm.
Second one, you are fed up with the cycle of these problems in life overall. You realize that any part of the cycle, you can get hurt at any moment of time, right? And the third one, not only you realize that you have all these problems all the time, but you also want to stop other people's problems together with your problems, and this is considered to be a greater capacity. And this in Lamrim, you have these steps that shared with people with lesser capacity, medium, and greater capacity.
You'll see it when you get involved with a group, with a sangha. You'll see people, they're content to work for next life. They'll have an opportunity to do something, but it may be more challenging than what they're ready for. Then next life, I'll just get it next life. And so you do see people working at different levels of speed, right? Eventually, we're all going to end up in the same place, out of samsara. But people work at different speeds.
Okay, and why this is important for meditation? Because you have different objects for meditation, and the word shared, the path that is shared with people with less capacity means lesser capacity. Does not mean that this is slow. It means that both greater and lesser capacity, they are both practicing the same thing. And the thing that is common for us, because we are on the greater capacity track, right? I mean, we try, right? You will, as Bill said, you will see people that do not feel that have this potential to reach their goals this lifetime.
Then I always wonder, like, if you think you're on the greater track,
Are you?
well, and then so then on the greater track, when you have the direct perception of emptiness, it comes with bodhicitta, right? And then, like, if you put it, what happens if you go and you didn't have the bodhicitta? You're like, well, damn it! Like I've been Hinayana the whole time. I didn't know it. Would you be disappointed? Like,
yeah, I think we need to commend what you just said.
Yeah, it might be a little,
because when you,
but it's really a funny thought, right?
the whole thing with the meditation is you want to get your tools right, your microscope right, or your telescope, whatever you build with your concentration right. And then you want to focus it on the correct object that will stop all the problems together for you and for other beings. all your problems and will lead you to your ultimate happiness. I mean, never changing, right? I mean, you will not be able to go back and suffer again, right? So there is an object. If you will build your microscope and direct to this object, boom, and the thing is done. You become an evolved human,
Well,
a human.
and maybe just to clarify that, when you have the direct perception of emptiness, you can have it with or without bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is this experience where your heart opens up, and then it particularly that happens after you come out of the direct perception of emptiness, but your heart opens up and you see in a few moments every living being in the universe, and you know you're going to work until you save them. And so that's you see it in photos, or not photos, paintings of Jesus where his heart's opening up, the sacred core, the sacred heart. And so if you're on the Mahayana track, you come out and you have that experience. But it doesn't have to be part of the direct perception of emptiness. You can have just the direct perception of emptiness, realize it, and then come back, and then you're on that Hinayana track. You can get out of samsara yourself, or you reach nirvana, not enlightenment. You still have obstacles to omniscience, but you can reach nirvana on the lower track if you don't have that experience of bodhicitta, if your direct perception of emptiness is not imbued with bodhicitta, which is, we'll talk about it a lot more.
Mainly a desire to become an enlightened being for the sake of everybody else, including yourself.
So it's two different tracks, but people can have the direct perception of emptiness without bodhicitta.
Okay, so then what is how this lesser track can be helpful for us? The reason why we start every time with motivation, every single class, because you will plant better seeds and you will get more focused, right? It is important to motivate you, and motivation can be positive or negative. And the most powerful motivation to begin this path is negative. It's your death, right? So there are three important principles when you meditate on your own death. And I really recommend you to do this meditation for a while. I mean, maybe you want to meditate for 1 month every day, and then do a short version of it every day. So it should contain three main ideas. First, the death is certain. I mean, I do not know anybody who would live over 104 years old personally. I have a wedding ring here and an engagement ring, right? This is my wedding ring and this is my engagement ring. And in America, usually women, they have 2 rings, right? Or the women who are loved. Just kidding. So the engagement ring comes from Bill's grandmother, and she lived up to 104 years old. And her name was Margaret.
Margaret Griffin.
Yeah. So I know about her. She lived 104 years old. I personally knew a lady who was 102 years old. I was playing bingo with her at the nursery home in Sedona, and I took care of 2 ladies 100 years old when I was planting seeds to meet my partner. I don't know anybody who lives over who would live, like personally, in my close circle, who would live over 104 years old. It does not look like I will. And this is what means that death is certain. I will die. There will be a day maybe not today, maybe today, I don't know, to be completely honest. But the death is certain.
Even if, you hear biblical stories of somebody who lived 800 years old or 900 years old, and I was talking with Will. He was talking about some text that Will is my son. We talk about these things all the time. He was saying that there was a Mesopotamian text that talked about people living for tens of thousands of years. But even then, it doesn't make a difference, right? Because
they died.
Well, and because what's the cause of death? It's not cancer or a heart attack or a car accident.
It's
or
the way that the fact
that's the detail, right? That's the how. The cause of death
you are
is
born.
birth, right? Like as soon as you're born, you're going to die. This is going to end. It's constructed, and it will come apart. The earth is going to end. The universe is going to end. Anything that's constructed will end. And so then, and then, okay, then now what? Now what are you going to do with that?
Should we just go to the cemetery while there are still places available?
Got to go get it, right? That would be the American answer. Got to grab that first.
Yeah. I think what is important to understand here, and believe me, many people, they got severe depressions when they come to in these teachings to the subject of death and the fact that it is certain, and other stuff that we will go through in a moment. But this is the lesser scope. You see, guys, there are more coming. So don't get stuck in your depression about the fact that you will die. Okay.
Well, and then the interesting thing about it is that before you can solve a problem, you have to know what the problem is, right? And so, okay, now we can be honest, right? We're going to die.
Mhm.
Now what? Is there anything I can do about that? And then you go from there. Maybe, maybe not. We're saying that there is. It's interesting, right? You got a big problem. Maybe there's an answer.
Yeah. So it's same like in any psychotherapy, right? Because I'm a medical doctor, and also I did very long psychotherapy training, like 10 years or something. And any psychotherapy can be successful only when your client realizes the issue. And sometimes 90% of your work with a person consists of you trying to help them to be honest with themselves, And if you never touch the subject of death, that is certain, then the chances you doing something about it are zero.
Mm-hmm.
And my Ukrainian culture is actually much better than Western culture because the attitude is quite correct. We see people that deceased. We have rituals. We have lots of stuff around it, and people, they know about the death, right? I was taking care of Monsieur Creuset. Bill met him in France at his nursing home. Was a great guy. He was how you call it? He was a technical engineer working with sound in different theaters, operas, and he was a fan of operas and ballets, and we watched together with him. He had huge, actually, I'm afraid they have thrown it away. It's a pity I didn't ask about it. He had a collection of the world best ballets and operas, and and he passed away. He was coming from a very nice, like you would think it is just a picture, like so nice, cute French Beaujolais village, like, and we came COVID, severe COVID. We cannot leave our houses without permissions. He was such a great guy that every single volunteer who took care of him showed up at the cemetery during COVID, half an hour driving from Lyon, or almost 1 hour driving. It was a heroic action from our side even. And the cemetery looks like it's also, I don't know, a picture in a magazine, like you think, wow, it's so cute, so peaceful here, like all these small, how you call it, this skleps, like where you put
The crypt?
The crypts, yeah, they had this nice, like a crypt is like an architectural monument as itself, like, and it's so nice. And the deceased person is in a very nice coffin, lots of flowers, no champagne for some reason, but I would totally expect it. Like everything's so cute, so nice, and you never see a deceased person. They just put it there, done, and then you should forget about it.
Yeah.
It never happened.
The French solution to death is beauty and pleasure.
And ignore the deceased person after that. And it is very uncomfortable and considered to be rude when you talk about people who died, or like bring it back to the memory, or about the death. I think in the US it's almost same. Not really, but close.
It's money. In the United States, it's money. And so I'm going to have, the stupid saying is that the person who dies with the most toys wins. Meaning like if I have the big boat and motorcycles and second homes, and then if I die with all that money, then I've won the game.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense, right?
Okay.
You didn't even get it. I told it to you. And you didn't, you couldn't even laugh because it was so
stupid.
so stupid, right? Yeah, no, it's that the person who dies with the most toys wins. Like you've beaten your neighbors, you were better than them, you had more money when you died, you won at the game of life. Yes.
You actually lost it, right? This is why it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Because you could do something better with your life than collect these boats and houses and stuff.
It's all to get enough money to retire luxuriously.
So long story short, the death is certain, and you do not know when you will die. I was thinking, like, in my close environment, there were 3 very important persons who died recently. The last one was my father-in-law. Actually 4 with your father. Both father-in-laws died. My first husband and Bill's father died, passed away. My mom passed away 1 year ago, and it was, of course, a big deal for me. And but the first one who died was a guy I was a friend with. His name was Sasha Alexander, and he was the same year student with me and my ex-husband. We had a lot of fun. I went to a competition in obstetrics with him to Odessa, like we were traveling, lots of stories. And I would never think that out of my mom, my ex-husband's father, and himself, he will die the first, and he died just of something like complications of COVID. Many people passed away during COVID. Many people are dying now in Ukraine. Like, I mean, so many. You cannot say that the one who lives longer will die. The one who was born the last one will die the last one. This is not the case. Anything can happen. I probably will tell you this story also because my ex-husband shared with me just yesterday. When he was a kid, he was brought by his parents to the village for the summer, and there was a neighbor's girl, you know, like neighbor's daughter, Natasha, and they were playing together. He was probably kind of in love with her, you know, like children love. She was a big deal for him when he was a kid. And she died 1 week ago. She was living just, I mean, she was completely healthy and our age, right? 45, 46 something. A rocket hit her village in a place where rockets usually do not hit. I mean, it's Poltava region, nothing military around. And it was not that somebody shoot the rocket, it just hit her house directly. Can you imagine? She sent her kids to her mom for a day, and she was alone at home. And one person, there were many people injured, but one died, her, with a rocket. Not, she didn't ended up in the accident or something, you know, more conventionally. Her house was hit. I mean, it's a village, one floor houses. Her house was hit with a rocket. So you cannot tell when you will die. You do not know, if you will be completely honest. And the third thing is when you die, what will happen? You will have totally different issues. The next moment after you die, you lose your identity completely. You are not Ina anymore. You are not a lady anymore. I remember that was, I was hit with this one. What? I'm not a woman anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not a human anymore. You see? And I cannot take anything with me. The only thing that I have is these teachings, if I was careful, and also, to be honest, my vows, right? Only the seeds that I planted by being good or bad with other people.
Good or
This
bad.
is-
It's
this
not
is
just
what
the
I have.
teachings. The teachings are the good ones that you want, but yeah,
Yeah.
you carry whatever good or bad you
Yeah,
have.
you carry everything. So, and this is the only currency I believe in.
Yeah, it's like, do not gather treasure that moth and rust can corrupt, right? Like everything falls apart. Moths will eat your woolen goods. Rust is going to take away your metal goods. Everything, you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we can talk about it. It's hard to really appreciate it until it's happening to you. And I remember Geshe saying that a long time ago. And then there was a weekend where I thought I had a brain tumor. And a brain tumor usually have a couple months to live. And then the doctor told me that I had, you know, might have a brain tumor. And that was like Friday. And then we'll go home over the weekend, and then we'll get you an MRI later, you know, in a few days, and we'll figure this out, you know. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, and then I'm walking around the same neighborhood, same exact neighborhood in Evanston. And I've got little kids, and I'm thinking, wow, I may really only have a couple months before I'm dead. This will all be gone, right? Like we've talked about it, but you know, my big substantial house and this beautiful neighborhood and these stores that I get to go to, and it'll all be gone. Like my kids gone, you know. And I remember walking past, there was an eyeglass store, and on it they had, you know, pretty young lady with her eyeglasses. And I remember thinking, well, she needs glasses because her ability to see is deteriorating, right? She's losing the ability to see. And they're trying to make it look glamorous. Hey, look at me, how pretty I look, because my eyes haven't completely failed yet, you know. You know, and you're like, oh, this is crazy. We just ignore, we're just ignoring death. And like you really, when something like that happens to you, you really feel it. So anyway, it's hard. It's hard to appreciate. And then they say, oh, well, don't worry, you don't have a tumor. You're okay, great. I didn't want to die anyway. And I'm like, let me go buy a new car.
It's funny, like you switch instantly,
like-
right? Okay, I was thinking I do not want to tell my story, but probably it's worth telling it because I had a very similar one. So I moved to France 2015, and I moved together with my son, and he was a big dancer. Like he was a French champion, you know, in the ballroom dances, and he would go to this international competitions. His trainers would be the stars, you know, like champions of the world. And I was working for a pharmaceutical company as a medical director. And at some point, I was like, I had parallel tracks, like my career and my job and my spiritual path. And I was studying what you are studying right now. And I was doing all these meditations. And then, of course, I was recommended by my teachers to do yoga. I was doing yoga. And at some point, I realized that I cannot do yoga anymore because there is something in my belly that is really not conducive to yoga. Like I could not do anything in my belly. And I'm a medical doctor. I palpated, how you call it? Like
Felt.
I
felt my stomach.
I like started to examine my stomach, and there is something that was not there. It is actually pretty big. I guess this is why I cannot do yoga anymore, because it's like a big ball in my abdomen or something. I went to a doctor, and doctor like, oh, and I could tell that he's scared. And he said, yeah, okay, you should do your ultrasonography. And you should do the ultrasound. France being France, ultrasound you can do like in 2 months if it's urgent. Like, but it was very urgent, so I did in 1 week. So, and meanwhile, I had time, you know, like to think about my life, to finish all my stuff. You know? And I remember I was talking to my son, and I said, you know what, we are just two of us in France, and they say that it can start bleeding any moment if this is bad, what they suspect, that it can start bleeding and I can die quickly. So if something happens, we should make a list of people whom you will call, where you will go. This is where my life insurance, this is where this was. And my son was like 14 years old or something, 15. The next day he shows up, he said, Mom, I took care of everything. What? He said, if you pass away, my trainers, they said they will adopt me. So no problem. So, and to be honest, it felt actually, it felt weird, but easier. I think, okay, at the very least, I have lost one problem less. And I remember I was thinking, okay, this, if it's, I was a medical doctor, I knew what it can be. And same as Bill, I was thinking, okay, worst case, it's 2 months, right? What do you do with your life when you have 2 months left? And this is something that I really suggest you to think about. What would you do with your life if you know that only 2 months left? I mean, you will be more or less healthy, and then boom, goodbye. I remember what I have done. I have paid for Sedona College DCI course 6 addictions. I decided that if this will be the last thing I will do in my life, I should take this course. And I should travel to Sedona to see Geshe Michael once again. 1 week later, the doctor puts his thing on my belly, like, oh, fibromyoma. Like, I was like, yeah, okay, I will have a surgery, but I will live.
Yeah, it was non-lethal.
Non-lethal, yeah, not yet. I mean, fatal, but maybe a bit longer. So, okay. With the stories, we may never finish, my love.
Yeah, how are we doing? Like, if we
We
don't.
are doing great. Yeah,
Yeah,
one question left, and it is about 4 laws of mental seeds. So, and everything that Geshe Michael put together makes perfect sense. You will have to figure it out. We try to help you a little bit because it's sometimes not obvious. I mean, he does not announces you now about objects of meditation. Oh, maybe in some classes he would, and some he wouldn't. 4 laws of karma or 4 laws of mental seeds, it is the same. And it has a direct connection to what we just thought about this. And you figure it out yourself, okay? You want to do the laws of karma?
Yeah, I really like the laws of karma. It really helps explain a lot. The first one is that an action produces a result that's similar. Whatever you do, you're going to get something back that's the same as the original action, which there's a real art to this also. Ina's quite good at it, figuring out, you know, like somebody will have a problem. And then what am I going to do to solve the problem? And it's always going to be something similar, but sometimes it can be surprising. But it's interesting because it helps you when you're evaluating what you're going to do in a situation. How am I going to respond to this? So that's the first one.
Yeah. The second one is that the result is always bigger than the cause, right? I do something small and bad, but the consequence is bigger than, I mean, it's an endless discussion about the causes of the war. And the answer is very easy. The cause of the war is you being a little bit unhappy and angry at other people. And because the results are greater than the cause, you have the war in your world, right? And then when you stop being angry and grumpy and all of that, then the war is over.
It's, you know, is that possible? Is it possible you're going to see a whole war from some kind of minor original event? Is it possible that you can get an oak tree from an acorn, right? Like countless acorns worth of volume in an oak tree.
Yeah, a couple grams become several tons, right?
Is that possible? Is it possible? I mean, how many cells are in a human body?
About 8 trillion.
Yeah, 8 trillion. Yeah. So is it possible that 8 trillion cells can start with 1? Is that possible?
This is what happened, right?
No, we're surrounded by that, right? And so, and it's also a motivation. So that's the negative side of it. Can you use it positively, right?
Yeah, you can stop the war by not being angry anymore.
or make yourself wealthy, or see the world wealthy, or see the world happy, or save the universe, right? And so it's not like if it was just a 1-for-1 thing, if it was, I give you an apple, then I get an apple back, then being like, you know, F you, I got mine. You know, why would I give you one? I'm only going to get one back. I'm just going to keep these. I like these. I don't want one later, right? But like, no, I give you an apple, I get 10 apples back later, right? I'm like, oh, okay, well then the way to feed the world is to give your stuff away. It's not to hoard it, it's to give it away. And so it also explains, well, anyway, we know you sit with this stuff, it explains a lot of it, right?
Yeah. So you can do a small good
All of
thing and you will get a lot of
Mhm.
good things with the time. Okay, the third one. The third one is also important because you cannot get anything unless you have done an action in the past, right? You cannot get the result if there is no seed that will ripen and give you the result. But to plant a seed, you had to do something. If you don't do anything, like if you do not go to nursery homes to share your time with a lonely person, right? To be a company for her or for him, then don't expect you will have your partner, right? You don't have seeds to ripen as your partner. Or if you are not generous, don't expect you will have money, right? You do not have causes that are gathered together to for you to get any money.
And there's a real art to all of this that you'll work and you'll get better at it. When you first start, you'll make a lot of mistakes, and you'll keep making mistakes until you're enlightened. But you do get better at it. You will get results quicker. Your results will get better. And if you're practicing well, your life should keep getting better as you go on. This isn't something where you've got to go give up everything, sit in the dirt in the woods, and let the bugs eat you until you get enlightened. You know, that's not the practice. Your life should be getting better if you're doing this right. And that's because of the fourth law, that once you've taken an action, you will get that result. It's not going to get lost. And so if you're doing this right, you can't stop it, right? It's going to come back up. It's going to come back out.
Yeah.
So.
And
I've seen it. I mean, like Geshe, he's happy. You know, he's had some hard times. He did the right things. He got through it. He's very happy.
Yeah. It will be a measurement of your honestly spiritual ripening, right? Because usually when people get to these teachings, then seeds get a little bit wild, and you may have like all kinds of results, including what you do not want. But then when it comes down a little bit and you just go the path, you just walk the path. And by walking the path, I mean you do ACI courses, you meditate, probably you do some yoga, right? And the most important, you keep your ethics, so you do not harm other people. You stopped completely harming other people. Then your life does become better. I mean, my life did. I was very miserable when I met the teachings. I had some material wealth. I mean, Ukrainian level. My salary was great. I had a great position. Like I was on the top of the ladder in Ukraine. I didn't have bosses who would tell me what to do in Ukraine. It was one of the best companies in the world. I was working like 60 miles from here. Is the headquarters is 60 miles from here. And yeah.
No, not even. It's in Lake Forest, right?
They have several ones. Yeah, like Forest also. Vernon Hills somewhere.
Yeah.
Also. So, and I didn't have peaceful mind. I mean, I was so stressed out. You cannot imagine. Like, I had everything, but peaceful mind. Then you work on your mind. At some point, you realize you have your peaceful mind and lost everything. Then when you really start to practice. And then but you understand something. Peaceful mind was worth the trouble walking this path. And if you have your mind that is in correct place and you understand how the world works, that you get back everything you planned. Then with the time, because you remember we have this time gap issue with this follows of seeds, because it's all true. The issue is usually for a seed to ripen, it takes long time. I mean, long maybe 100 years, 1,000 years, not a problem for a seed. And what we try to make with DCI, like true project courses, everything else, we try to shrink this gap, right? The time gap. We try to shrink it in order a normal person to see the results in foreseeable future, right? But when you walk this path, you actually see the results because you see you changing and you see people around you changing. I become more compassionate, more kind, more compassionate and kind people come around me, I am interested to study these teachings. You know how many people were supportive of me in my family? Like -2. And now, like my husband, not only he's interested, he has done his 3-year retreat. This is where I realized that seeds are growing.
Yeah.
So, and this will happen with you. Just go on, just continue and be bold, Yeah, okay, you will have some bad moments. You will have some ripenings that you do not want. Just make a decision. You plant good seeds, whatever it takes.
Yeah. I'm human, have bad days. We still have problems. Not really any big
Not
ones.
big problems.
No, not many really. But I'm easily the happiest, most peaceful I've ever been in my life.
We can be really fighting because of the teachings, how to teach it.
Our biggest fights
better.
have been over how to teach, right?
Yeah, and over books, because sometimes I think that he does not really understand the concept. And sometimes he thinks that I do not really understand it. So, big problems.
Big problems.
Okay, that was the end of class 9. Close your eyes.
No.
No,
We
we have
it.
problems. Yeah, just think about the fact that you were listening to these teachings, and some of you, and we really appreciate your help, were volunteers and helping us with translations and technical stuff and coordination, and think about all the good things you have done. And decide to give it all away to other people. Don't worry, you will not lose it. It is impossible. By giving away, you make it bigger. And give it to your loved ones. First exhale. To every single being on this planet. Second exhale. And to everybody in this universe. Wish to help them to stop their problems and be completely happy. Thank you, everybody, for this beautiful classes. Thank you for coming, because if you do not come, we have nobody to teach. So we appreciate every single one. Go back to your breathing, open your eyes. See you tomorrow.
До свидания. Пока-пока.